at long last, the EU-China investment agreement. This was certainly the hope that the EU ambassador in China, Nicolas Chapuis, said yesterday in an interview. So I hope you share these sentiments, Ambassador. And I think that there's a number of other issues, global issues, that we want to cooperate on. And of course, there are some other issues where, to quote last year's Commission paper, we are rivals. But I think the agenda is huge. The ambassador himself has made a big contribution to moving the relationship forward. And I think we'll be all waiting now to hear what he says, firstly, about the virus, and secondly, about EU-China relations. Now, he will make a statement for about 15, 20 minutes, and then he'll return to the podium with an interpreter after that, and we will have an open Q&A. So that's going to be the format. So, Ambassador, would I please invite you now to take the lectern for your statement.
Thank you, Fraser. Friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Well, the novel coronavirus pneumonia outbreak has caught global attention, dominating the media headlines. I've heard some questions, concerns, and even worries and fears. So I talked to Fraser, and we decided to have a briefing like this. I first want to respond to 4 questions that are often asked by European journalists, and then go to a question and answer section, of course, open-ended. Question 1, is the outbreak already under control? As of today, the number of confirmed cases in Chinese mainland is 72,436. This is indeed a big number, showing that the epidemic is highly contagious. Yet there is good reason to say that the epidemic could be contained and overcome. Let me give you some positive signals. China's efforts to contain the outbreak at the source are paying off. 59,989 cases, or 83% of the total, are concentrated in Hubei province. There is no massive outbreak outside Hubei in the mainland. Cases outside China account for about 1% of the world's total. This is not a global pandemic. Dr. Tedros said that if it weren't for China's efforts, the number of cases outside China would have been very much higher. I believe it's true. The number of newly confirmed cases outside Hubei in China mainland has been on decline. Has been on decline for 14 consecutive days, falling by 91%. From February 1st, the number of cured cases has surpassed that of fatal cases, with a widening gap in between. the fatality rate remains low at about 2.5% on Chinese mainland and only 0.6% outside Hubei. The rate is far lower than Ebola, 40.4%, SARS, 10%, and MERS, 34.4%. Now, question 2. Is China open and transparent? The Chinese government puts its citizens' life and health front and center. Upon knowing about the concentrated outbreak of pneumonia of unknown cause in Wuhan, the National Health Commission immediately sent a task force to the city and briefed the public on the next day. China notified the WHO and the international community shortly after. It took a week for Chinese experts to identify the pathogen as the novel coronavirus. Then we shared the virus genetic screens with the WHO and the rest of the international community without any delay. WHO praised our efforts as record-breaking. Of course, all of us hope it would be better if we could have taken even shorter time. That's upon, of course, the scientific breakthrough, inshallah. Some are asking, why didn't China disclose the outbreak at the very beginning? Isn't it a sign of no transparency? Everybody wishes that the virus would have been identified and eliminated the moment it appeared. This is an ideal scenario. Yet the reality is that this is a brand new virus about which we had little knowledge. In retrospect, there are always things that could have been improved in response to an epidemic caused by a new kind of virus. The Chinese government, health specialists, and the general public are seriously examining every aspect of our endeavor in the past weeks in an effort to replicate good practices and learn the lessons. Yet it is unfair to conclude that the Chinese government is not transparent due to the lack of knowledge of the virus at the very early stage. Openness and transparency are the most powerful weapons against the epidemic. Since the outbreak, the number of cases has been reported on a daily basis, and the reporting is mandatory even for localities where no cases appear. And there are daily media briefings from the central and the local governments. The central government is stepping up supervision and asking the public to provide clues about underreporting and cover-ups. Those involved in such behavior shall be held accountable. And we develop a better understanding of the epidemic. The figures are becoming more accurate. In addition to the nucleic acid testing, diagnostics is also made on the basis of clinical symptoms to ensure that every patient could be admitted to hospital. This is respect for facts and science. Question 3. Is China's response appropriate and proportionate? As I said, this is a new virus. The Chinese government is preparing for the worst and handling the outbreak as a category A infectious disease, though it is a category B disease. We have adopted an interagency, multi-sectional, sectoral, and society-wide approach to minimize the scope of affected areas and contain the spread of the outbreak. Some Europeans are concerned about the lockdown of Wuhan, saying that the measures violate human rights. It was a difficult, courageous, yet science-based and efficient or effective decision to apply temporary access control to Wuhan and its surrounding towns and cities. What we have been doing is protecting the most fundamental human right, the right to life. It's like a doctor performing surgeries on a patient. Nobody will accuse the doctor of restricting the patient's freedom and human rights, will they? Indeed, it is a huge challenge to apply access control to a city like Wuhan with over 10 million citizens. We have done a lot to minimize the impact. Now, people's essential travels and the transport of important supplies are provided for. Daily necessities are provided as a priority. Despite the difficulties, Wuhan still has a social stability. People fully understand and actively cooperate with the government's measures. Of course, we can imagine their time is not easy, but from time to time, they look optimistic and show their sense of humor. We continue to improve our response so it will be more science-based and conducted in a more orderly way. We want to make our measures more targeted and see them implemented down to the last detail. This has given the Chinese people a greater sense of security and confidence in winning the battle. Question 4. What does the outbreak mean for the economy? With the business activities deferred and demand for services reduced, there is some impact on the Chinese economy. Yet the impact is limited, short-term, and manageable. The epidemic will not change the positive prospects of the Chinese economy in the long term. The huge market demand offered by the 1.4 billion Chinese consumers, nor China's commitment to reform and opening up. There is no need for global investors to worry too much. The Chinese government has sufficient policies to boost the economy. After the Spring Festival, the People's Bank of China, the central bank in China, injected RMB 1.7 trillion into the market. The Chinese government has rolled out policies to cut taxes and fees. Such policies are equally applied to Chinese and foreign invested companies. To help them resume activities and offset the impact of the epidemic, we are seeing positive developments. Nearly 80% of manufacturers of facial masks and protection suits in key areas have resumed protection. 94.6% of major grain producers and processors, 96.8% of petrochemical companies, and 83% of power companies have returned to work. Civil aviation, railway, and water shipment services are in normal operation. Foreign companies like Tesla, Honeywell, and Airbus are gradually coming back to work. Besides the China factors, the impact of the epidemic on global economy largely depends on global response. I wish to emphasize that the only thing to fear is fear itself, not the virus. WHO does not recommend travel or trade restrictions on China. Such restrictions would aid to panic and disrupt the containment efforts. Most countries, including the EU states, have followed the WHO advices by taking responsible measures. Yet, unfortunately, some developed countries which have advanced capabilities have taken the lead in adopting excessive restrictions on China, to the contrary of WHO recommendations. It is our hope that the relevant countries could look at the epidemic and China's response in an objective and a cool-headed way, act in accordance with WHO's recommendations, and avoid unnecessary disruptions on international travels and free trade. Ladies and gentlemen, health cooperation is an important part of the China comprehensive strategic partnership. Since the outbreak, the Chinese government has kept Europe well informed. President Xi Jinping spoke to French, German, British, and some other European leaders. Just this afternoon, he spoke to President Macron and Premier Johnson. And Premier Li Keqiang spoke to President von der Leyen. I personally met with the commissioners for health and crisis management and some other commissioners and VPs within the last week. Chinese and EU health experts have kept in touch through video conference. The two sides are exploring more possibilities of cooperation in diagnostics, treatment, scientific information sharing, and clinical trials. China attaches great importance to health and the safety of European citizens in China, and has assisted in the repatriation of European citizens. The EU has facilitated the delivery of 12 tons of medical equipment to China, and more is expected to follow in the coming days. Such goodwill has been widely applauded by Chinese citizens. I wish you could bring my gratitude to European people. Since the inauguration of EU leadership, President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Keqiang had separate phone calls with President Michel and President von der Leyen. China-EU relations have achieved a smooth transition. In the past months, we are concentrating on our lines of efforts. On two lines of efforts. First, to deliver on the commitments made at the last year's summit. In addition to the progress on the civil aviation agreements and the GI agreement, we have accelerated the talks on the investment agreement. With the two intensive rounds of talks recently that produced important progress. Second, to look for new drivers for China-EU cooperation. The new Commission has come up with some ambitious initiatives on green development, digital affairs, and health, providing opportunities for China and EU to expand shared interests and cooperation. We hope to work with the EU toward more concrete results to demonstrate that we are partners that rely on each other, not rivals that confront each other. This year marks the 45th anniversary of China-EU diplomatic ties. There will be a series of major events ahead. The sudden outbreak of the epidemic will not weaken our resolve to make this year successful. The two sides are preparing for the planned high-level exchanges as scheduled. We are also closely following the outbreak and stay in touch with the EU side. Thank you for your patience. Now I'm ready to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Let me just say to people at the back, there are a few seats down at the front if anyone would like to come down. There's one just been vacated. Our interpreter is going to join us on the platform just now. So it's a very comprehensive briefing, Ambassador, in terms of the state of play. I was interested right at the end when you mentioned that there have been rounds of negotiations on the investment agreement. As there are no flights between Europe and China, have this been done by video conferencing? And if so, is that a good way forward, do you think? Saving the planet, less flights?
In fact, the airlines between connecting China and Europe, some of them are still on operation. Yeah, and also due to the impact of the epidemic, we try to utilize the high tech with the video conference. The experts, the health experts of the EU and China just had a video conference last week, and I personally attended it. So both two sides were very happy and satisfied with the exchanges.
Good. Okay, let me open it up to the floor. We have a microphone, and as this is being live streamed, if you would just wait for the microphone and just identify yourself. So, Ray, this gentleman here.
Hi, I'm Charlie from China Today. Yeah, Ambassador John, I have a question regarding, what's your response to sort of the U.S. attack, on China and Huawei in particular at the Munich Security Conference by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Defense Secretary Mark Esper, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Do you think the U.S. strategy has worked and make your work more difficult here in EU, or it has failed? That's actually very interesting. I read New York Times, Washington Post, political or foreign policy story, which all suggested failed. These papers are not particularly friendly to China in the past. Thank you.
Okay, that was on Huawei. Shall we take a couple? Yeah.
Kurt Geisert, I'm one of the guides in the House of European History. And I had students from Beijing on 24th of January, when the whole dimension was not as clear as it is today. In the meantime, you have multiplied your efforts, and this deserves respect. Can you imagine that the support from the European Union can even be bigger as it is? Thank you.
Okay, and there's one beside you, Ray, so if you pass the microphone back.
Italian news agency. First question, you talked about the impact on economy. Do you think that this impact could prevent, for instance, the implementation of the US-China agreement, the so-called Phase 1 agreement? And the second question may be, you mentioned that some member states had some kind of overreaction on the virus, but for some others, the national airlines that were connecting China to those countries suspended the flight, having the same effect. What is the difference between those two? Thanks.
Okay, we'll take these three, and then we'll have another round of questions. Jim?
Yes. Okay. Well, with your permission, I'd like to speak or answer questions with my mother tongue. My peer will help us with the interpretation. 关于这个 华为的事情嘛，当然这个事情和这个当前这个新冠的疫情没有太多的关系。关于这个华为呢，华为是一家优秀的中国的民营企业，那么与国际社会的伙伴们经过几十年的长期的合作，证明了它是一家非常优秀的、诚实的企业，也得到了国际社会的广泛的认可。
Well, first of all, the question of Huawei, though, is not so much related to the COVID-19. I'd like to say a few words on it. Huawei is an outstanding and honest private company of China, and in the past decade, it has established a good cooperation with many countries around the world, and it has well established its reputation as an honest company, privately owned.
那么一个时期以来呢，美国政府这个非常执意的要打压这家企业，他们的这个说法呢是华为的产品不安全，但是这么长时间过去了，没有任何人看到美国政府就他的说法拿出任何一丝一毫的证据。
And for some time, the U.S. administration has insisted on attacking this company, saying that Huawei's products are not safe. Yet so far, the administration has yet to come up with any piece of solid evidence to support its argument.
那么最近这个媒体上透露出一则消息，说是美国的情报部门呢，过去几十年来呢，利用一家这个叫做 Crypto 的公司，来窃取国际社会许多国家的机密。那么读了这个消息之后呢，我似乎有所明白，为什么美国政府这么执意的打压一家这个中国的高科技公司。我想呢，这个恐怕美国人是以小人之心度君子之腹，因为他们自己会通过企业来实现他们的窃密的间谍的目的，那么他就无端的去指责一家这个其他的企业。
And recently, I have read a piece of news from media saying that the U.S. intelligence agency has been using a company called Crypto to steal secrets from other countries for years. And after reading this piece of news, it seems to me more clearly why the U.S. administration is so insistent on attacking this Chinese company, because they are trying to figure out the thinking of others in their own logic. They themselves are using companies to steal secrets to their own interest, so they think other companies, like companies from China, will do the same.
因为美国方面对于这个华为的指责拿不出任何证据，那么作为一个普通的人，我只能做出这样的推断。
And since, as I said, the U.S. has yet to come up with any solid evidence to support its argument, so as an ordinary citizen, I have no other explanation for their behavior except the one I just referred to you.
那么我感到欣慰的是呢，尽管美国政府这样无理的打压一家这个企业，那么欧盟方面呢，迄今做出的反应，包括欧盟一些国家做的反应是令人鼓舞的。那么他们在这个问题上是坚持着这个公平、公正、非歧视的原则。我想这是市场经济的基本原则。那么中方所要求的，也无非是国际社会的成员都要遵守市场经济的基本原则。
And although the United States keeps attacking this company on groundless accusations, what is encouraging is that the European Union and its member states are acting in accordance with the principles of fairness, justice, and non-discrimination. These are the very fundamental principles underpinning market economy, and this is what China hopes to see.
当然，也有一种判断呢，认为美国人打压华为呢，就是想阻碍中国的发展。我想，中国作为一个这个具有悠久历史、古老文明的国家民族，实现现代化的发展是必然的趋势，也是14亿人民的美好的愿望，它也不可阻挡。
And some people are saying that the U.S. attack on Huawei is aimed at impeding China's development. On that, I hope to say that China has a time-honored civilization and splendid history, and modernization is an inevitable and unstoppable trend in China, and this is also the common aspiration of Chinese citizens.
那么中国有句话，己欲立立人，己欲达达人。这个美国方面，不去想着利人、达人，而是去损人、去害人，那么最后的结果一定是损害自己。
In the Chinese saying, we say that if we want to benefit others, there should also be benefit for themselves. If they want to help others prosper, they can also prosper by themselves. But what the U.S. has been doing is to harm others and hurt others, and at the end of the day, it would be counterproductive and also induce harms to themselves.
那么关于这个围绕着这个抗击疫情，欧盟方面对中国人民这个防控疫情所给予的支持呢，得到了中国人民的高度的赞赏。这个冯德莱恩主席在同这个李克强总理通话的时候，表达了对中国政府、中国人民所做出的努力，给予高度的评价。
On the EU's support for China's epidemic response, I would say that the EU's gesture has been well acclaimed by Chinese citizens. During the phone call with Premier Li Keqiang, President von der Leyen expressed high recognition of China's efforts.
并且主动地表示，欧盟方面愿意这个尽力向中国人民提供支持和帮助。那么，的确，欧盟方面说到做到。这个刚才我已经谈到了，第一批的这个防护的物资已经抵达这个武汉。那么随后呢，还有更多的物资将会运抵。
And she also expressed the readiness to do the best to provide assistance and support to China and Chinese people. And I'm glad to see that the EU has matched its word with concrete deeds. As I said in my opening remarks, the first batch of medical equipment has been delivered to Wuhan, and more is to follow.
除了物质上的支持帮助之外，那么欧盟方面在精神上也给予了中国人民有力的支持。
And apart from the tangible support, the EU has also extended great intangible support to China.
这个欧委会平等委员，这个达利女士嘛，在这个上个星期呢，曾经做了一个讲话，在讲话中呢，谴责了在欧洲个别人士上发生的一些歧视这个中国人和亚洲人的这样的行为。
Last week, the Commissioner for Equality, Ms. Dalli, made a statement on behalf of the European Commission in which she condemned the individual cases in some European countries of discrimination against the Chinese and Asian people.
包括一些 欧洲议会的议员也谴责了这样的行为，他们认为呢，这不符合欧洲的价值观。
And some MEPs also shared the condemnation, saying that such behavior is not in line with European moral values.
我很赞赏这些政治家们的行为，我认为这是一种负责任的行为，不仅是对中国人民负责任，对欧洲人民也是负责任的。
And I appreciate such remarks from European people, and I believe it shows a sense of responsibility not only for Chinese people but also for European citizens as well.
所以说，这个欧盟方面能不能做得更好，这个我想没有最好，只有更好。这个中方愿意跟欧盟方面加强沟通合作，这个特别是加强在卫生健康领域之间的合作，来造福双方的人民。
And as for whether there will be even greater support from the EU side towards China, I would say there is always room for further efforts, and there is always more we could do together. So we hope to step up the communication and cooperation with the EU side to the benefits of citizens from both sides.
关于中美这个所达成的第一阶段的这个贸易协议的问题呢，这个首先这个协议呢，是双方通过平等、相互尊重和认真的谈判达成的一项协议。这项协议呢，对中国有利，对美国有利，对世界经济都是一个好消息。
The China-US Phase 1 deal is negotiated on the basis of equality and mutual respect after intensive hard work from both sides. And reaching this deal is a good news for China, the US, and global economy.
那么中美双方呢，现在都在认真的执行这样一个协议。那么至于说疫情呢，对这协议的执行有没有影响？如果我说完全没有影响，可能我不诚实了。
The two sides are now implementing this deal seriously. And as for the impact of the epidemic on the implementation of the deal, I would be dishonest to say that there will be no impact at all.
但是中方愿意和美方一起，共同努力，克服时间，这个来认真的落实好、执行好这样一个对大家都有利的协议。
Yet China is always ready to work together with the US in this trying time to ensure good delivery of the deal, which, as I said, is good for both sides and the whole world.
中国人也是，既然签了协议嘛，我们是要履行这个承诺的。这一点呢，我想中美都会往这个方向去努力。
Since China has put its signature on the deal, we would honor our commitment, and I think both China and the US would work along this line.
但是还有一件事情，对于执行这个协议确实是有明显的负面影响，那就是美国方面，这个全面终止了中美之间的人员交流。那么这个决定呢，坦率的讲呢，它是不符合这个世界卫生组织所提供的专业建议的。
But there is one thing that would affect the implementation of the deal. That is, the US has put a ban on the travels between the two countries. This is not in line with WHO's professional recommendations.
这个世界卫生组织有一个非常重要的一份文件，叫《国际卫生准则》。那么这份文件里边，对于这个防控传染疾病有两个非常核心的要素，一个是尊重科学和实证，另外一个呢就是这个避免对人员和物资流动实施不必要的限制。
And according to the international health regulations of the WHO, in response to an infectious disease, two things are important. The first is to respect evidence and science, and the second is to avoid unnecessary trade and travel restrictions.
这个刚才我也谈到了，我们希望美方啊，认真考虑这个世界卫生组织专业的建议、科学的建议，能够尽早的取消这样的不必要的过度的措施。
So we hope the United States would take into account WHO's recommendation, which are science-based and professional, and to revoke such excessive restrictions on China.
那么刚才朋友也问到这个停止航线的问题，实际上我也谈到了这个问题。这个 WHO 作为一个专业的这个机构呢，他提出了明确的意见，这个反对对人员和这物资进行的流动进行限制，不赞同这个在目前情况下停止这个飞往中国的航线。
And on the suspension of flights, as I emphasized earlier, according to WHO, which is a specialized agency in the field of public health, it does not recommend or even advise against travel and trade restrictions.
那么说到这个事情上，我脑子里跳出来的一个很好的一个样板，就是我们所在的比利时。在2014年的时候，这个西非地区爆发了埃博拉的疫情，我也参加了这个国际社会这个援助西非人民抗击这个疫情的工作，给我一个非常深刻的印象。当时比利时航空公司至始至终没有停止飞往这个疫区塞拉利昂的航班。
Speaking of this, a good example came up to my mind. That is what happened in Belgium in 2014 when the Ebola epidemic broke out. I was also personally involved in the response to this outbreak. I remembered back then, throughout the process, the Belgium airlines didn't suspend their services to the affected country, Sierra Leone.
当时中国的医护人员就是通过比利时飞往布鲁塞尔，转乘比利时航空公司的飞机飞往疫区的。那么这件事情至今让我不能够忘怀，我也非常感谢这个比利时航空公司。我也希望这个欧洲的航空公司以及国际社会的其他的航空公司尊重这个 WHO 的建议，这个不要轻易的停飞赴华的航班，特别是现在我们在全力以赴的在抗击疫情的同时，要恢复生产。这个停航对于恢复生产以及抗疫的本身会有很大的负面影响。
And I remember back then Chinese medical workers made transfer here in Brussels to fly to Sierra Leone to help with the outbreak response. So I'm very grateful to what Belgium Airlines did back then. So we hope that currently the European airlines and the global airlines would follow WHO's recommendation and not rush to the decision to suspend services to and from China. As I said, as we fight the epidemic, we are also making all-out efforts to resume business activities. So suspension of air flights would not help with the outbreak response, nor would it help with the resumption of business activities.
Thank you. That was very clear message. There was a few other questions. Quite a few more minutes. Take the lady over here first, and then. Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, I have three questions.
Just introduce yourself first.
Oh, yeah, my name is Eva Fischer, yeah, and as I said, I have three questions. The first is about the EU-China summit in March. Will it take place, or are there already the consultations in And the second one is about the number of new pathogens or fatalities. Do you think they will develop, will they increase or decrease, or what do you expect? And the third one is about the local.
The second one,
The
please.
second one, you repeat the second?
The second one was about the number of newly infections and fatalities.
New infections.
最新的
Yeah, if they will develop or whatever. And the third one is about measures in China. Local administrations do like transport limits or quarantine things. How will this develop? Will it get more strict or more loose or whatever?
Okay, can you pass it down here, Ray, and then we'll come back to the middle. Yeah.
Good evening, I'm John from the magazine. I also have 3 questions. I'll be brief. Would the ambassador agree that the crisis shows the strength, considerable strength of China, but also some weaknesses in that, of course, to take the measures that you have taken in Wuhan and to try to stop the spread is impressive, but on the other side, the story of Dr. Li Wenliang and the early capture of and spread of information might be pointing to a certain weakness. Then, second question on Huawei. Would you be able to accept? Would you be able to accept that Europe decides that, as a matter of industrial policy, it wants to develop 5G itself, not because of necessarily because of security reasons, but as China has decided we want to have our own Facebook, we want to have our own Google. Europe could also have a more pronounced industrial policy. And then thirdly, very briefly, we know that there is an important climate summit at the end of the year. Do you see scope for good cooperation between the EU and China when it comes to preparing the climate summit in Glasgow?
Okay, just pass it along to Jan Willem.
Okay, Willem Lange, connected among other things with the EU Asia Center. You mentioned it briefly, Ambassador. Thank you for your clear explanation. But I think the most important good news about the disease is that, and you mentioned 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks, the number of new cases, which is always essential for everybody who studies these things, is going down. And I think that's something that at least that's overshadowed by the total cases, fatalities, the number of new cases. Everybody who looks at these things from closely is the most essential thing to see if somebody is on the way out or not.
Okay, and just pass it to the lady here, and then they'll take the gentleman at the back. Then.
Yes, my name is Victoria English, and I represent the business science publication MedNow. So I have one question. Do we have a date of the first transmission?
The date of the first infection. Just pass it to the gentleman at the back there, and then.
Thank you very much. Jerome Hughes here on behalf of Press TV. I just want to ask the Ambassador, in relation to EU-China relations, one of the issues that you would seem to agree on in terms of EU-China relations relates to trying to save the Iran nuclear deal. So the question is, do you feel the Iran nuclear deal can be saved, and is enough being done to save it?
Okay, just and the gentleman here at the back was also waiting. So.
Thank you, Jan Flynn from GlaxoSmithKline Pharmaceutical Company. Ambassador, thank you for your words. You've seen over the last months, 2 months actually, all the international pharmaceutical industry and research community coming united towards China on making new partnerships to develop a vaccine, to develop a cure for that. And China, at this point, has become very permissive of actually having R&D and clinical results coming from abroad. But this is actually not the norm on a day-to-day basis. Are we seeing a paradigm shift now that China is seeing that actually we are all united towards curing this outbreak? or is it something that is just now because it's an emergency?
And this lady here? Okay, it's the final question from this lady here.
Hi, Julie Hirsch from Politico. I'm curious because lots of active pharmaceutical ingredients are made in China, if we should expect to see drug shortages here in Europe.
And what's the question? Should we
If we should expect to see drug shortages.
drug shortages in Europe? Okay, so that's Ambassador quite a range. I mean, given the time, you can be quite brief in answering them. So up to you. Over.
关于中国领导人的会晤呢，双方已经确定在3月30号、31号在北京举行。那么尽管疫情正在这个发展的过程之中，那么中国双方的筹备工作没有停止。可能你们有注意到，最近一段时间我频繁地进出巴勒蒙大楼。
Both sides have agreed to have the new round of China-EU summit at the end of March. Despite the epidemic outbreak, the preparations for the summit don't stop, and many friends have noticed that I go to Belmont Building very frequently these days to prepare for the summit.
关于这个疫情的走向呢，这个坦率地讲呢，目前我们还不能说已经控制了疫情，只能说呢，疫情的防控出现了积极的迹象。
As for the future prospects of the epidemic outbreak, I would not say that it's already well under control and containment. I could only say that there are already some positive signals in the response.
那么中国刚才我谈到了几个数字，在中国内地呢，这个确诊病例的这个总数呢，这个每日每日的数字呢是在波动，但是总的趋势是在下降。
As I said in my opening remarks, in Chinese mainland, outside Hubei province, the number of new confirmed cases is generally on decline, though there might be some small ups and downs.
我和很多我的同胞们一样，现在每天早上起来第一件事情，就是要在手机上，看，中国卫健委的实时发布的这个数据。
Like many of my colleagues and friends, every day the first thing I would do in the morning is to check the website of National Health Commission to see the latest updates.
那么看，截止到昨天24点的数据呢，就是昨天增长的确诊这个病例和这个治愈的病例相加减之后，它的存量净增是4例。
And as of midnight of yesterday, I saw the number of new confirmed case and the new cured case. So in accumulative terms, the increase is only 4.
但我不是专家，但是作为一个也可能会得疾病的一个普通的公民，我对这个数字还是很振奋的。
Well, I'm not a specialist in public health, but as an ordinary citizen, I feel encouraged when I see this progress.
当然我不是专家，我不能去预判，未来这个数字是怎么样的走向，但是总体的走向现在是在下降，而且我个人的希望，我想你也一样，同样希望这个病例呢会直线的往下走。
I'm not a specialist, so I'm not in a good position to foretell where the outbreak is going to be headed in the future. But personally, I hope that it will continue to decline. And the good thing now is that the new confirmed cases is generally on decline.
但这要取决于一个条件，这个中国政府也非常明确这样一个条件，就是我们丝毫不能够松懈， 特别是在这样一个关键的时刻。
And to make that happen is very important, as pointed out by the Chinese government repeatedly, not to slacken our efforts in the slightest, especially when it comes to such a critical stage.
那么现在在中国内地的这个交通的管控呢，严格的说呢，这是在湖北省是严格的管控，那么其他的省份呢是有控制的这个来尽可能安排这个交通的畅通。
As for the transportation limitations in China, in Hubei province, the restrictions are very stringent and strict. And in other provinces, we are doing our best to ensure the smooth operations of essential travels.
当然，在保证畅通的同时，在交通工具上的人员流动的人员呢，也在加强这个健康的监测。
And we are also stepping up health check on those travelers going with public transports.
这个那位朋友问到我们这个在疫情防控的工作中是不是有哪些不足的地方？这是一个非常好的问题。实际上这个问题呢，习近平主席在这个我们大年初一这个中央政治局常委会上第一次会议上就提出了这个问题。
Well, the question on the weaknesses in our response is a very good one. You may have noticed that on the very first day of the Chinese New Year, the political bureau held a meeting chaired by President Xi Jinping, and that meeting discussed this point.
可以说疫情发展到今天，我们在做的是三件事情，一件是这个疫情的防控和患者的救治。
Since the outbreak, we are making efforts on 3 fronts. The first is to treat patients, to step up prevention and control.
第二件事情是有序的恢复生产，来确保今年的经济社会发展的目标任务能够完成。
And the second thing is to resume business activities in an orderly way to ensure that we will be able to meet the economic and social development targets we have set for ourselves.
那么第三件事情呢，就是一边抗疫一边认真的总结经验，吸取教训。刚才我也谈到了，那么该坚持的要坚持，该补足的短板要补足，该改革的要改革，该完善的要完善。
And the third thing is that while fighting the outbreak, we are also looking back to replicate the good practices and also learn the lessons. We will keep the good practices and promote reform and improvement in areas where there are deficiencies and weaknesses.
为此呢，这个中国这个政治局常委会啊，专门做了部署，提出了这个10几个方面的这个体制、机制和体系的完善与改革。
And the political bureau meeting also mapped out overall plan for our efforts in this regard, pointing out the direction of our efforts related to systemic reform in about 10 to 20 areas.
那么这方面呢，我们也会广泛的听取这个民众的意见。
And to do this, we will consult with the public extensively.
那么作为题外话，在17年前，2003年呢，中国爆发了 SARS 的疫情。那个时候，中国还没有一个应急响应的机制。那么在这个成功了抗击了那次疫情之后，中国政府意识到我们在国家治理方面呢，有所缺失，就是我们的应急机制不完善。所以在2004年的时候，我们就花了很大的精力，逐步建立起一整套 完整的这个应急机制。这套应急机制呢，在过去17年里边，有效的应对了多次自然灾害，包括地震，包括疫情，包括洪水，包括干旱，包括冰雹灾害等等。
I remember 17 years ago when the SARS outbreak happened. Back then, China didn't have a mature system for emergency response and management. And after that, the Chinese government came to realize the importance of putting in place such a system. So the next year, in 2004, we made great efforts to put in place a complete set of emergency response mechanisms. And with that, in the past 17 years, we have managed to well respond to such disasters as earthquake, floods, droughts, and snowstorms.
这个人类的进步也好，中国的发展也好，这个几千年都是在从这个各种挑战、抗争的过程之中，逐步学习、逐步完善、逐步进步的。我们也不会放过这次这个疫情灾害，我们会从中学到很多的东西，不断的健全、完善我们的治理能力、治理体制，使它完成我们这个在去年，中共提出来的一个重要的目标，就是实现我们国家治理体制和能力的现代化。
The progress of humankind is a learning process, especially when it comes to dealing with challenges and difficulties. So it's also true for this epidemic outbreak. It offers learning opportunities for us to further improve the system and capacity for China's governance and to modernize our governance capacity and system. This is also a vision we set last year.
那么关于这个欧盟实行产业政策，鼓励发展自己的5G 产业，我想这是欧盟的权利。那么实际上欧盟是有很强的5G 产业的，这个爱立信也好，诺基亚也好，都是在5G 领域非常优秀的企业。
As for the EU's industrial policy and also development of EU's 5G technology, it's the right of the EU to do so. In fact, in the 5G area, the EU has outstanding companies like Ericsson and Nokia.
而且欧洲的这些5G 通讯企业和这个中国的华为公司呢，是多年的合作伙伴。
And these European 5G companies have been in long-term cooperation with Huawei.
那么他们会使用许多华为的专利，华为也会使用这个他们的很多专利。
And they are using Huawei's patent and also vice versa.
实际上，这个未来高新科技的发展，就像5G 的发展一样，不可能是一家企业或者一个国家能够完成、能够实现的，应该是国际合作的产物。那么，网络的安全同样应该是国际合作的能够来保障的事情。
And the development of any high and emerging technology like 5G is always a result of global cooperation. We cannot simply rely on one single country or company. It's also true for the safeguarding of cybersecurity. It's also an effort of global cooperation.
关于第一例感染这个事情，这个我不是专家，我目前呢是从媒体上看到的报道，但是我相信现在这些科学家们、专家们正在认真的研究、分析、回顾这个疫情发生这个的始末，来找到这个病毒是怎么样传染到人的身上的。
On the first case of transmission, I'm not a specialist, so I also got news from the media, but I know that scientists and specialists are now wasting no time to take stock of what has happened in the past few weeks. in order to investigate the source of the virus.
那么作为我个人从媒体上看到的呢，是武汉的一位医生张继先女士，她在12月26日一下子接收了多名病人，症状是这个发烧、干咳。那么这位医生呢，非常的敏锐，这个对这些病人的症状产生了怀疑它是一种新型的这个传染性疾病。那么立即这个报告了院方，这个医院组织了专家组，认真进行了研究。那么这个做出了一个判断，就是这是一种新型的传染病。那么循着这个疾病控制的这个机制呢，一直报到省里、市里和这个国家的疾控中心。
Well, as I learned from media that on December the 26th, Dr. Zhang Jixian received some patients with such symptoms as fever and dry coughs. And Dr. Zhang is sensitive enough to become alert and saying that it might be a new virus and a new infectious disease. So she reports the cases to the leaders of the hospital, and also the hospital organized a task force on this, concluding that this is indeed a new virus. So they acted in line with the emergency response mechanism to report the case to the municipalities, to the provincial leaders, and then to China Disease Control Center.
作为一个外行，我理解呢，目前专家们会循着这样一个线索来回顾性的去调查。
And as I understand, now the specialists will do further investigation into the whole process.
那么一旦有结果，我们都会通过媒体、通过 WHO 获得悉的。
And in case of any new update, we would be able to get them from WHO and media outlets.
这个气候变化是中欧之间合作的一个亮点。这个2014年呢，中欧密切合作，这个达成了这个巴黎协议。
On climate change, it is a highlight in China-EU cooperation. In 2014, with our concerted efforts, the Paris Agreement was successfully concluded.
我们也注意到新一届的欧盟领导机构提出了这个雄心勃勃的绿色新政，我们也在认真的研究，从中发现这个中欧加深这个领域合作的机会。
The new European Commission has come up with an ambitious Green Deal. We are studying it, trying to figure out more opportunities of cooperation.
今年年底将在英国举行新一届的这个气变大会。那么，同样在中国昆明呢，也将举行这个生物多样化工业缔约方大会。我想，中欧呢一定会继续携手合作，来推动这个生物多样化、气变方面的合作。
And toward the end of this year, there will be a new climate change conference in the UK, and also a conference on biodiversity in China. So I believe China and the EU will continue to strengthen cooperation in these areas.
那么伊核协议呢，是国际社会，特别是这个欧盟与欧洲，发挥了重要的作用，所生产出来一个国际公共产品。
The Iran nuclear deal is an important result of global diplomacy. It's also an important result of the efforts made by the EU.
它可能不是完美的，但是它是有利于这个世界与地区的和平稳定。
It may not be perfect in every way, but is conducive to regional and global peace and stability.
那么这份文件也得到了联合国安理会的认可。
And this document was endorsed by the UN Security Council.
那么目前发生的情况非常令人遗憾，我想这个欧盟的伙伴们更是感到如此。
And the current situation is very unfortunate, and I believe European friends share this feeling.
不管我们的美国伙伴采取什么样的态度，欧洲、中国，这个我们会携手努力，这个尽最大努力去挽救这样一个多边协议。
No matter what the United States is going to do, I believe China and the EU will do our best to keep this agreement alive.
这个中国的科技研发呢，我们一贯是本着这个开放的态度。
And on research and development activities, China is always open in this regard.
并不是因为有了疫情我们才开放，这个改革开放是我们坚持了40多年的一项基本国策。
Such openness is not a result of this epidemic outbreak. The reform and opening up is a stated policy in China in the past 40 years.
在这个领域呢，我们是欧盟为我们重要的合作伙伴。实际上，过去几十年里边，我们在科技研发方面一直保持着密切的、良好的合作。
And the EU is an important partner of China along the way, especially on science and research. We have kept close cooperation.
包括在5G 领域，中欧双方在企业层面一直保持着密切合作。
That includes the area of 5G. Our companies, Chinese and European companies, have worked very closely.
这个，我想，通过这次疫情呢，这个我们会更加，它不会改变中国改革开放的这个方向，我们会进一步的深化改革、扩大开放。
The epidemic will not change the direction of reform and opening up. Rather, we will go even further along this path.
这个我也注意到，欧洲的朋友们呢，有一定的担忧呢，这个欧洲的制药企业的原料会，这个原料的供应会受到影响，由于这个疫情的问题受到影响。
I have noticed some concerns from European companies saying that the epidemic may affect the supply of ingredients used for pharmaceutical manufacturing.
正如我刚才谈到的，疫情发展的今天，中国政府正在统筹这个疫情的防控和恢复生产。那么在恢复生产方面，我们也会有一些优先的次序。药业是关系到人民健康的，是头等的大事情，我们也会把它放在优先的位置上。
As I said, while fighting the outbreak, Chinese government is also coordinating the efforts to resume business activities. We're also setting priorities in this regard. Pharmaceuticals concern people's life and health, so it would be a sector that comes first.
Ambassador, thank you so much. I mean, before I thank you formally, I just want to tell you when our next meeting will be, and that will be on the 9th of March here in the Press Club with Gunnar Wiegand, the Managing Director for Asia, who will give an official view on the perspective for EU-Asia relations in 2020. So thank you all very much for coming. I think it's been a fascinating briefing. I think it's important the message you had to see things in perspective. I mean, just remember, 100 years ago, we had the Spanish flu that killed of 50 million people and possibly 100 million people around the world. 10 years ago, we had the normal outbreak of flu, which killed 200,000 people around the world. So at the moment, we're talking about an epidemic of less than 2,000 fatalities, with 70,000 infected cases, and hopefully it's on a downward trend. So the message to see things in perspective is, I think, an important one. Another important message was EU-China relations have to move on and are moving on, and I think we want to see some real outcomes this year. But above all, I think the way you handled these questions was fantastic. You answered them in a very comprehensive way. I think you'll agree. The Ambassador did a really detailed overview. So let's join with me in giving him a round of applause. Thank you. That's excellent.
Thank you very much. It's very good.
My name is Andres Pamekins. I'm from the European Parliament. I'm an assistant of VP Yanaton. And Yanaton is a member of the Club of Friends of China in the European Parliament. Her apologies for not being here and warmest greetings to you, to your people, to
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Twice during the last year.
See you next time.
9th of March.
Nice.